Hello everyone and welcome back. In today's video, I'm going to show you how you can create real-time database in Firebase. So I'm going to show you how you can add items, fetch items, update items, and also delete items from your database. So throughout this video, we are going to create this mini system, okay, where we can add students, okay. So before that, as you can see, our database is empty here. You can add student, let's say Christian, and we are going to add or give it an ID. Okay, so I'm just going to add the students, and as you can see, student has been added successfully. Okay, so then when you come here, as you can see, we now have students collection, and with this ID we have the students in here. Okay, and you can also fetch a student by ID, so get students. Okay, as you can see, you have the students here, right? I can decide to update the students. So let's say I just want to um, update it to Nijan, okay, instead of Nijan Christian. So I'm just going to click on the update button, and as you can see, it's successfully done. Let's try and refresh this, and as you can see for here, that's updated. Okay, so I just want to refresh this so that you can uh, try it again. So let's try and get the student again. So as you can see now, it's updated, right? And we can also delete students. So let's click on delete. So it's going to delete the students, and now when we check in our database, realize it's empty again. Okay, yeah, so that is what we are going to be doing in this video. For this, let's jump into it. But before we jump into it, kindly like this video, share with friends, and let me know your comments in the comment section. All right, so I've already set up the project. Okay, so have some default codes here. Okay, I will leave the link down below. You can just click on it and then navigate you to my GitHub repository where you can have access to the source code. Okay, so once you get this, you can just open it in your code editor, which I'm using Visual Studio Code. Okay, so you can just click on open with live server. Okay, so it's an extension I've installed in my VS Code. Okay, once you click on it, you will have this system. Okay, so we are not into front end or something. Okay, we just want something that we can work with. Okay, and then we have our CSS file here. We have our script file empty where we will be playing more games today. Okay, so let's quickly start. Okay, so the first thing I would like us to do is to just go to Firebase. Okay, you will need a Firebase account, and once you have one, you can go ahead and then create so a project on that. So I'm just going to go to console. Okay, so we are just going to create a project by clicking on this plus button. Okay, so if you already have a project, you can just click on it. Okay, so I'm just going to click on projects, and you are going to give it a name. So I'm just going to say database. Okay, maybe database 2. Okay, and then I'm just going to click on continue, and I'm going to uncheck this. I don't need all of these, and I'm going to create my project. All right, so our project is ready, and we just have to continue. So it's going to take us to the dashboard of the project. Okay, and then we will just go to build. Okay, so you click on build, and then you go to real-time database. Okay, so with our real-time database, you just click on create database. All right, so you just have to select a location. Okay, I will leave it by default and click on next. So here you can use the start log mode or the test mode. Okay, but for testing purpose, let's use the test mode. Okay, so as you can see here, we have some rules in the log mode where in the third parties can't read or write to your database. Okay, but because you are using test mode, yes, let's use this one. And as you can see here, the rules has changed. Now we can read and write in third parties can read and write. Okay, for 30 days. Okay, so as you can see, we have now has to be less than the next 30 days. Okay, so let's just enable. All right, so our real-time database is ready. So the next thing is to go to this settings icon here. Okay, so you click on it, you go to project settings. So we will need to add an app. Okay, and we are going to add a web. So you click on web and we have to just give it a name. So let's say management, or yeah, management. Yes, yeah. And then you can just click on register app. All right, so let's click on continue to console. Okay, and then we will just scroll down here. So as you can see here, we are going to just toggle to CDN. Okay, and we are just going to copy the code in between here. Okay, inside the script. So I'm just going to copy the code here, and then now we will move on to our project. Okay, so we've set up the project in our Firebase. So we just go to our scripts, and I'm just going to paste everything here. Okay, so we will just, let me quickly uncomment or remove the comments from our code. Okay, so what you are basically doing here, we are initializing our app. So we are importing the initial app, and then we have to configure it. Okay, so you have to please you have to input your APK API key, your domain, and all those stuffs here. Okay, and before I will even upload this video, I will delete mine. Okay, so you just have to use yours, else it won't work. Okay, so once you are done with this, you can save it. Okay, so yeah, we are done with this. The next thing is to do some importation. Okay, so I'm just going to copy this everything here. I'm going to paste it down here. Okay, or you can do it just after this one. Okay, and here, instead of just app, you have to change it to database. Okay, and then here we are going to import get database. Okay, we are going to import ref, we are going to import child, we are going to import the operations as well. So get set and update, and then the last one will be delete. Okay, so we are going to import all these stuffs. So why is the delete having an error here? Oops, remove, not delete. Not bad. Okay, yeah. So the next thing is to start the actual algorithms. Okay, so we have to first create our database here. So const db, and we are going to call our get database here. Okay, yeah. So when you look at the HTML, we have our input fields. Okay, so we have 3 input fields for the first section. So let's go back and let's take a look. We have one input field, 1, 2, 3, right? This one is for submit. Okay, and then the rest are for text. Okay, as you can see here, and we've attached IDs to them. So we have name ID, we have name, we have ID, we have app button, right? And then when you come here, we have ID search, we have get button, we have ID update, we have update button, we have delete button. Okay, so we are going to interact with our DOM, and let's first start with getting some of the, so we are going to, so let me bring it, let's stop here. So I'm just going to say let name, okay, input. Okay, and we are going to get our documents. So get item by ID name. Okay, great. So we are going to grab the input field and then get the values from them. Okay, so that's what we are doing here. So I'm just going to do that for the rest of the inputs. All right, so as you can see here, I've added ID inputs, search inputs, update name inputs, and then the buttons are below, right? So these are the inputs, so you can just comment it inputs, and then the below are the buttons. Okay, so that's it. The next thing to do is to create our functions. Okay, so currently we are able to grab the elements of our HTML. Okay, so we are able to grab the elements in our DOM. Okay, so the next thing to do is to create a function. So let's first create a function for adding students. Okay, so I'm just going to say add students, or let's say data. Okay, let's make it a general one. Okay, so inside this we are going to use our set. Okay, so we are now adding, so you set, if you want to get, you update or you remove. Okay, so I'm just going to call the set, and inside the set we are going to use our reference, and inside our reference we call our database, and then we are going to give a reference. So let's say students. So we are creating a collection called students, and inside this collection we want to actually put or save our students inside. Okay, so I'm just going to grab the ID. Okay, and then I'm just going to get a value out of it. Okay, oops, value. Okay, I'm grabbing it and I'm getting the value out of it, and then after that I'll just open it and then pass in all the things I would like to save in the document. So here I would like to add a field called name of students. So name of students. Okay, and here I'm just going to add the name input, and then I'm going to get a value, and then ID of students, and with that one too I'm going to get the ID from the value. Okay, yeah, so I think these are the things I would like to save in that document, and then you use our then. Okay, so here, if everything is successful, then we would like to just give some information saying students added successfully. Great. So that is it. And then if catch, okay, so if there is some error, then we would like to catch the error as well. So I'm just going to catch the error here. So I'll just log the error, and I'll just say alert unsuccessful. Okay, so great. So yeah, so I think our function is it. Okay, so once we add everything, we just great. So let's give it a try. Okay, so what I'm going to do is to add an event listener to this particular app button. Okay, so I'm just going to say app button dot add event listener. Okay, and it's going to be a click event, and you're going to call this function right there. Okay, so oops, add data, not add button. So add data. Okay, and I'm going to save this. So now we have to import the script inside our HTML. So below the body, you just call the script tag, and here you have to give it a type of module, else it won't work. Mind you, the code we copied from, let me go back to the settings so I'll just show you something here. So I would like to show you something here. Yeah, So mind you, the code we copied there, as you can see here, we have the type model. Okay, so if you don't add that one, it won't work. Okay, yeah, so let's try and then add that one here. Great. And then we'll give it a source or script. Okay, great. So let's quickly give it a try. So we go back to, let me just close this one, and then let's give it a try. So this one, back to our real-time database. So as you can see here, it's empty, right? Let's give it a try. Let's give it a name, Christian, and an ID. Let's click on it. So students added successfully, and when you click on it, let's see, now we have students collection, right? And when you click on it, we have the ID. So when you add a different students, it will have a different ID, right? When you click on the ID, then you can have access to the student's ID and then the name. Okay, so that is what I was trying to explain to you earlier on here. So we are having students collection, and then we are concatenating it with the name. So this is what the student's ID, we have to click on it in order to get the actual items, right? So this is what we did here, right? What we did here, okay? And then we have the actual item inside it, okay? So that is how you can add students, okay? So let's quickly do that for the rest. So we are going to fetch students as well, okay? So I'm just going to say retrieve or read a student, okay? So read data, and that one too, we will leave it the same way, okay? So with this one, we have to just change a couple of things. So I'm just going to clear everything from here, and then I'm just going to create a constant here, okay? So I'm just going to create a reference for the database, okay? So let's say dbref. Oops. So ref, and then we are going to pass in our db, our database, okay? And then we are going to use the get. So this time around we are getting, so we are going to use the get, and then child, and then we are going to pass in our ddb reference. So I'm just going to do same, so students, okay? And as you can see here, we have students and then slash, we are going to concatenate it with the ID, okay? So here we are fetching the ID from let's go back and see. So here we'll be fetching the ID from this field, okay? And this field is the search ID field, okay? So let's come back here. So we are just going to say search ID search, okay? And then we are going to grab the value. All right, so we will now use the then function, okay? So once you pass in the search ID or the search ID value, then we have to now use the then function where we can get our data or our response, okay? So I'm just going to name it snapshot, okay? So come down here, and we are going to do a few checks here. So we are going to check if snapshots dot exist, okay? Yeah, so if it says this, then you are going to just say name update, okay? So we are going to now update the value here, which is our DOM, with the snapshot value, okay? So here, remember, we pass in name of student, right? So we are grabbing the name of student, and then we are updating our name update value with that. So we are going to be just updating this field with the response, okay? So that is if it exists, right? And if it doesn't exist, else we can just alert that student does not exist, okay? Great. So from here we can now pass the then function. Okay, so once we are done with this, we can just say alert. Okay, and then you're just going to say successful. You can also pass a catch function here. So you are going to just log the error here. You're going to log the error, but before logging the error, you would like to say give someone an alert. Okay, so unsuccessfully. Great. So let's save this one as well, and you're just going to do same thing for that. Let's add some event listener to that. So get btn, and then here I'm going to say retrieve data. Okay, save that, and now let's go back. Okay, so 8. So you're here, you're just going to pass 868 here, and let's click on get student. Great, so you've been able to get a student, right? So as you can see here, the next thing is to update the students, and quickly you delete students. Okay, so again we are going to create another function below. So I'm going to say function, and I'm going to say update data. So with the update data here, we are going to pass the update method, and then we will pass in our reference, you pass in the database. Okay, and then we have to give reference, so students / and then here we are going to grab the ID from our search ID. Okay, so here we are grabbing the ID from here, which means before you can update this has to be, the ID has to be inserted here. Okay, so let's just go back and then continue. So once you add that, you can just come down here, and the name of student. So remember the name of the field when we're actually adding the item, the name was name of student, so it has to match it, the same thing. Okay, and then you have to now grab the name from our name update value, and then you grab the value from there. So we are getting the whatever value here, and we are updating that to the actual value. Okay, so I think that's it. So we have to just create our then function here, passing our anonymous function. So here we are just going to say successful. Okay, updated. Great, and then you can just copy the catch you want to be repeating, so you can just copy the catch and paste it right down here. Okay, so let's save that, and let's go back and check. So here I'm going to retrieve or get my data. Great, so as you can see here, you have, so I would like to just remove the Najan and then leave the Christian. So let's update it. It's not working, right? So do you know why? It's because we didn't add an event listener to that particular. So I'm just going to say add btn.events, add event listener. It's going to be click events, and I'm going to pass in update data. Okay, if you were able to do it, then kudos. Yeah. So let's go back and let's try it again. Let's grab our data successfully. Okay, so let's delete the first one, and now let's try and update the data. So I'm going to update it, and as you can see now, it's Christian, it has been updated, right? Yeah, so that is it. Now the last thing is to delete. So let's add a delete function here. So delete data or remove data. Okay, so I'm going to create a function down here. Let me bring this one down. Right. So we are going to call the remove, and then we are going to pass in the ref as we always do. Okay, and then we're going to pass in the database. We're going to set students, okay, and / right. So here we have to just pass in the search value. So we are getting the value in the search input. Okay, so we are grabbing the value here, the ID here, and we are going to use this ID to delete the document here. Okay, so let's go back. So we are just going to pass our then. Oops. So just down here, say then. Okay, and then we are going to just say alert successfully. So data deleted successfully. Okay. But before that, we would like to empty the input fields. Okay, so these two input fields, and I'm just going to do that by calling the id search dot value. We are going to set it to empty string, and we are going to call the name update dot value as well. Oops. And with this one too, you are just going to set it to empty string. Okay, so I think I left one out when I was adding, right? Yeah. So here, once it's done, we can just empty these two. Okay, so once it's done, we can just copy this, then empty it, copy this one as well, and we are going to empty it right here. Okay, yeah. So let's be fast. I think the video is getting quite long. Okay, I'm just sorry for that. So let's add the delete button and delete data. Okay, so I'm just going to save this, and now let's go back. Let's grab our item first. So I'm just going to grab the item. Great, so we have the item here. You can also decide not to grab the item first, just input the ID here and then click on delete. So we've been deleted successfully. Let's cross check. Right, so it's gone, right? So we've been able to delete it. So I think this is how far we can get to. Okay, and so we've been able to create a real-time database in Firebase, and then we've linked it to our project, our HTML project, right? And as you can see here, let me just give you a quick tips before we go. Please, when you are importing or when you are attaching the script to the HTML, kindly don't forget to add the type model here. Okay, and also in your script file, the second link or the second input we did, please change the database or change the app to database. Okay, so remember, we just copy this link and then we change this app to database. Okay, yeah, I think that is it for this video. I hope you really enjoyed this video. If you did, kindly click on the subscribe button, like this video, leave your comments in the comment section, and see you in the next one. Happy coding.